If you're going to be learning to lead, come on up on the front row here. Anybody and everybody.
Ben, you need to go up there.
Is that?
I need to go up there.
Where are you in the pecking order? Are you the oldest?
No, he's the youngest.
You're the youngest. Wow, man.
He's the tallest, he's the youngest.
Lloyd's on leads and Ben's on leads. These guys are learning.
Do I need to? I need to move over. Just move the camera. Yeah. Come on up here, William. Okay. Come on.
Push up, Ben. Push up, Jonah.
I'll let the two older guys go to the next row. You guys move over, and William, I need you up here, buddy.
You're old, Ben.
Is he older than you?
I'm not sure.
I could have.
18, 29.
Come on up. Let's go. We go.
Come on, Will.
Oh, wow. Well, it's tough.
All right.
You know what, you're the visitor. I think you enjoy that one,
What I've done is I've taken the workbook that I put together for our Bible college ministry. I also teach in the Solomon Islands, but I've done these lectures before, and I've made a booklet out of them. And one of them is a real small, easy to carry. It's the same thing in it, but you may not be able to read it because it's so small. So I'll go ahead and give the larger ones out. And if you want a copy of that smaller one so that you don't have this larger one laying around the house, and you may need a quick reference. And I've already stapled them down the middle. If you want to go ahead and close them and make a book out of it, you can. And here's the rules, William. If you want it, you got to come sit up here. Oh,
Please, sir, can I have more?
yeah, you don't have to sit up here.
Oh, my goodness.
If the others here want this. Now, there's a preface in front there. Go, bud. And you don't have to read it now. Please don't. We don't have time, but that's pretty much a summation of some of the things that I already said this morning. So if you do fold it and make a booklet out of it, the pages should be in order, and we're going to work through that this afternoon. You want one? So you can tell where we're at.
You can get it, that'll be open.
Yeah, well, yeah, all of this is song leading related. Okay, now I didn't take time today to talk about, let's say, harmony, keys and scales and all that sort of stuff, but just so maybe we can save time, how many of you already know how to read music? Okay. William, we need you up here, buddy. How much do you know with the reading of music?
Not much, but I can read it.
All right. When I say read, are you able to? Do you know what pitches? Do you play an instrument?
Sometimes.
All right. So when you read music, what are you reading it for? So you could play, or you can sing, or? Okay. So I'm guessing those of you that raised your hand, you know what pitch the notes are? Okay. With our hymn books, generally, how many parts are there? 4. Do you know what they are? Go ahead and talk back to me, yeah. Soprano, alto, tenor, bass. The top notes are usually soprano, and they are also usually the what? They're the melody. Yeah, the melody. All right. I don't have time for this. Take a look at those notes. But the Bible says that we're to make melody in our hearts. All right. I've got a friend that lectures on Christian music and this stuff, and he calls harmony, rhythm, and melody the trinity of music. And I don't throw a hymn book at him, but I'm thinking about it. That pretty much makes melody and harmony and rhythm equal, using that term. And harmony and rhythm are foundational to having a melody. You can have harmony without the other two. All harmony takes is two sounds sounded at the same time. All right? Rhythm has to do with the amount of time or the passing of time. And you can have rhythm without even having sound. All right? But the Bible doesn't say make rhythm unto the Lord or to make harmony unto the Lord. It says to make melody unto the Lord. And melody is the pinnacle. You cannot have a melody without harmony, and you cannot have a melody without rhythm. All right? Rhythm and harmony are the tools, rhythm, and harmony are the foundational things, but you've got to have them to make a melody. So melody is the ultimate thing that we are seeking to worship. And so what we are trying to do with our congregation, I believe more than anything, is to get a melody, to have melodious singing. Right? And we're told that we sing with psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Psalms are the words are directly inspired. They're scripture. All right? Hymns are usually objective in that they are focused on one object, usually a person, God. You can have a hymn about the Lord Jesus Christ or the Holy Spirit, but they are more objective in that they're focusing on a specific object. I don't like calling God an object, but you understand what I'm saying as far as it's objective. All right. Spiritual songs could also be songs of the Spirit. All right. It's not necessarily the Holy Spirit, but our spirits. And of course, the Holy Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. So spiritual songs are usually songs of the Spirit or an expression of ourselves. Therefore, they're subjective. You know, I'm feeling today where I want to praise joyfully God. Or I'm feeling today that we need to be solemn and call upon God. And so nowadays, the gospel song probably lines up more with spiritual songs because they're subjective. And then in the time of Fanny Crosby, Ira Sankey, those are what we call gospel songs. They're songs of the Spirit expressing how I am reacting to God. Okay, so moving on to this then, with your reading of music and knowing how to read music, for the choral conductor, for the song leader, right? Rhythm is the most important aspect of your music theory that will apply to your song leading. All right? The melody is usually taken care of, or the harmony, the key that we're in, that's usually taken care of by your accompaniments, your pianists. They're telling the congregation what key they're in. All right? The congregation itself is singing the melody, and what you are doing as a song leader is you are telling them when to sing. So it's more of a time aspect. And so rhythm is by far the most important aspect of music theory that you need to have. And let's just go ahead and get started on that. And I'm concentrating primarily on rhythmic aspects of music And let's start with, let's just go ahead and go to hymn number 117 if you've got hymn books here. I'm doing this by random. Let's do 121. 121. And then in the booklets that I just gave you, we'll be starting on page. Let's go ahead and start with on page 7, where we're talking about rhythm. All right, rhythm is the pattern of movement in time. In modern musical usage, the word rhythm appears on two semantic levels. In the widest sense, it is set beside the terms melody and harmony, and in that very general sense, rhythm covers all aspects of musical movement as ordered in time, as opposed to aspects of musical sound conceived as pitch, whether singly or in simultaneous combination, and timbre, that's tone color, okay? Those other words there like pitch, timbre, they have more to do with sound and harmony and not timing, all right? So for a song leader, rhythm is, you got to know your rhythm. That's why I started out with, are you feeling rhythm? If you're feeling rhythm, you're a long way ahead already. If you don't feel rhythm, you got a lot, you need to work on something. So there is hope. And if you'll practice, maybe you'll start feeling rhythm. But if you can at least count to 4, you're off to a good start. But it has to do with time, what you're doing over time. I tend to look at rhythm and illustrate it this way. Harmony, you're looking at the music vertically. Chord, 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 chord. Right? But with rhythm, you're looking at the music horizontally as it's passing through time. That's the right, yeah. So it's a time element. And you're counting through that. And the count takes time. So each of your notes, as it's placed on the staff vertically, that's giving you your pitch. But the marking of what it is, quarter note, half note, bar lines, that's telling you how long, or how long, what's that word I'm thinking of? Duration, yeah, thanks. The duration of that sound, all right? And that is what you are conducting or leading, is how long are you going to be, is the congregation going to be on that note. So basically, I hope you guys know this. If you don't, these things I hope will be a help to you. All right, bar lines are very important in conducting. And bar lines are those vertical lines drawn through one or more staves to mark off a measure. A measure is a unit of musical time consisting of a fixed number of note values of a given type, as determined by the prevailing meter. The delimited in music notation by 2 bar lines. So if you're there on page 121, all right, you see the staff and then the bar lines, and then there's measures. Now, I just to make sure everybody we're on the same page and I know where you're at.
What's stop?
A staff, the 5 lines. All right, and so the staff is really like the page or where the notation is going to go. It can also go above the staff and below the staff, depending on, but the staff has to do it. The staff is that thing that is written on that will show you both the pitch and the rhythm.
Yeah. So it's not the horizontal stick connected to the note?
No.
I mean, a vertical stick?
What are they called? Stem. Those are stems. I haven't had anybody ask me that in years. Yeah, stem, but the staff is the 5, but it does include the bar lines and the note. The whole thing is not the staff. The 5 lines are really the staff. But you can have 2 staffs together, the women and the men. All right, and then there's also the time signature is put on the staff and those clefs. The clef is the 2 markings down there. If you go back to page 2, you've got the treble clef and the bass clef. There's a tenor clef or C clef, but they're marking on that staff where that pitch is. So the treble staff, that circle is actually around the G on the staff. So it designates that on that staff, that's where the pitch G is. So sometimes the treble staff is called the G clef. Right? The bass clef, the circle is on the F. So sometimes it's also called the F clef. But those clefs have to do with designating where on the staff the pitch is. Right? But the staff itself is what we're going to write on and put the notes on so that we know. It's like the tablet of what we're going to put on it, the notes. Yeah. And so I've got there, the little story of Guido of Arezzo. That's a staff. He's the one that pretty much came up with the idea of a staff. And they had his idea, I think, was 4 lines. Eventually it went to 5 lines, but what he did was to designate what pitch a line was. He marked it in a different color, and so and by the way, written music was very expensive back then because it took time to draw it all up and write it. And you'll notice there that the notes were all what looks like whole notes, or just one shape, and the time was indicated by putting them closer together. So if they were supposed to move quicker, they were put together. And if they were supposed to be held out, then there was a gap between that one and the next one. All right, so what we've done over time is we've developed a way where instead of the gaps, the stems, or the whether the note is colored in or not gives an indication, or the flag gives an indication of the speed of the note, or how long you're going to hold that note. Okay, so generally, we'll go to time signatures in a minute, but like I've got there on page 8, very important, it's the only thing in those 2 pages. For the song leader and conductor, rhythm is the most important musical element at hand. Go on to page 9. And I'm about to set you up, okay? Because I'm trying to find out what you know and how you've been taught. So I'm just a little bit of a warning there, but I don't want you to be hesitant in what you say. Okay, a whole note was the original notation, all right? And it had to do with the music was slower when they started making these notations, or it was sung slower, and it was developed within the realms of the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church had the money and they had the people and they had the education and they were the only ones doing the singing. It's just all of their singing was really slow. And so they would get their monks to write down music, and they just simply used the whole note shape. Sometimes it was a block like you saw Guido did, my mate Guido, and they were all whole notes, and they just had to do with the pitches, but the music was very slow. You know, Quam tu pulchra est, or whatever they were singing in Latin, all right? It was all done very slowly. And, but outside the cathedral, common people were playing their lutes and playing faster music, okay? But they didn't have the money to write it down. Plus, it was all done by memory anyway. So as time went on, they had to come up with another notation that could be printed or written out and passed along. So there was the development of our note system and the note values, all right? And so a half note takes up half of the time that a whole note takes up. Okay? That's why it's called a half note. Now I know here in Australia you may have been educated using crotchet, semi-crotchet, quaver and all that. How many of you think in that way rather than half note, quarter? Does anybody still think? Oh boy, all right. So you're going to have a tough time with me because I grew up in Australia doing all that, but I never really caught on to having to use crotchet, quaver. I couldn't tell you what's what. What's a whole note called?
Breve.
A breve, right, thanks. And then a quarter note? A crotchet? What's a half note? Semi-breve? Quaver, okay.
No, sorry, that's
Huh?
minimum.
Minimum, all right, yeah. All right, so is it okay if we stick with quarter notes?
Yes.
Because it just makes sense to me. A whole note is this. A half note, two of those half notes take up the time of a whole note. So a quarter note is going to be a quarter of the time used of a whole note. All right? And I'm, like I said, I'm setting you up. No, I'm going to wait to set you up. All right, an eighth note, there will be 8 of those to make up a whole note. All right? We generally think of an eighth note as 2 of those make up a quarter note. Does that make sense? All right, now I apologize over on page 10 because of the printing, but there are light lines breaking down to each of those notes. But basically, as you go down, the notes take up half of the time of the one above it. Or we could put it this way. 2 of those notes take up the same amount of time as the one above it. But generally, does everybody know that? All right. So, how many of you were taught well, no, let me put it this way. Generally, we count in quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we were going to do half notes, we would probably go 1, 2, 1, 2. Is that right? And then your whole note would probably be what? 1. Is that right? Okay. So it's been a long time since I've counted out loud the way I was taught in Australian schools. But generally, we stick to the 4 quarter notes with our counting. All right? That pretty much is the standard note of our timing. The quarter note is. And for conducting or leading, your quarter note, like I said, is really a mark of the length of time And that time, the quarter note, usually is pretty much regulated or illustrated, timed with a walking pace. So what you would normally walk with is a good standard of setting the tempo of the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? And because most of our music, that is a comfortable movement of time in music, and it's a very clear notation marking. Most music is composed, and especially hymns and songs, using the quarter note as the tempo, the walking pace of a quarter note as the tempo. All right? Because, imagine singing Amazing Grace and all of the notes were actually whole notes. You'd need a piece of paper a couple of miles, all right? Plus, you'd have everybody trying to work out just how fast am I going to be singing or slow I'm going to sing, all right? So as you go to the half note or the whole note, our thinking will be, this is going to take longer to do this. All right? If you go toward the eighth notes, you're going to be thinking this needs to be quicker. So imagine if Amazing Grace was composed and written with all eighth notes. Our minds would be sing it like this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost. All right, but you understand what I'm saying is those notes, just by their appearance and what we've learned, give us a fair idea of how quickly the song is supposed to be performed or sung. All right? And that is another one of those things that with time, composers, conductors, that's become a rule. In that a quarter note represents like a tempo that is a walking. And then if I do this and compose and write down it in eighth notes, I'm expecting this piece of music to move faster. Or if I'm going to do it in half notes, it's more like a slower walking place. Okay? So most of our hymns are to be sung and done in a walking sort of tempo. Dum, dum, dum. Now, I understand you may walk faster. Some people walk slower. All right, but that's a general idea of how fast is this supposed to be. So, let's move on to time signatures. And before we do that, on page 11, with the reading of music, do you all understand the dot? Does anybody not know the dot, how the dot works? Okay. What's your first name, brother? Ben. All right. The dot is just another symbol. And if you'll get hold of this with rhythm, all of the symbols are mathematical. They can be worked out with numbers. All right. They're mathematical. So with the dot, if what the dot indicates is whatever the value of time of the note is, then the dot, you half that value, but then add that half onto the note as far as how much time you spend on it. So mathematically, if I've got a quarter note that lasts for 2 seconds, then the dot means add 1 more second onto it. All right. Of course, if we're performing faster, then you can throw out the seconds and all that, but it does have to do with what is the time value of that note, half it and add it on. All right, now here comes the trick question. All right, not trick, but just the hymn book throwing question. And then I'll come back to the dot. Okay, so when we get to a time signature, it is just a mathematical symbol or notation, all right? And the time signature, when you get up to lead, you need to look at the time signature. Always, all right? That is the most important marker for you as a song leader. Let me go ahead and throw the curveball. What does the top number tell you in a time signature? Sorry, what does the bottom number tell you in the time signature? What sort of beats you're counting? The bottom number. What sort? You're saying what sort of beat? No, you've already heard me. All right. What sort of beat you are counting? All right. What does the top number tell you? How many beats are in the bar? Okay. Brr, brr. Okay. The time signature has nothing to do with beats. The time signature is a mathematical signature, and it is telling you, the bottom number is not telling you how many beats. The bottom number is not even telling you what kind of note gets a beat. All right? The bottom number is telling you what kind of note gets a count. All right? So if the bottom number is a 4, what kind of note is going to get one count? A quarter note. All right? So if the bottom number is a 2, what kind of note is going to get one count? A half note. Is it possible for the bottom number to be a 1? Yes, it is. That would be a whole note. All right? And there is music that is composed with one whole note per... No. One whole note will get one count. All right? That, of course, would be very slow music. All right? If the bottom number is an 8, what kind of note gets one count? An eighth note. Okay. Now, let's go to that top number. And the reason I threw the curveball is because this is probably the most important and best lesson I learned in all of my life regarding conducting. When you get hold of these concepts, all right? And how many of you were taught that the top number of the time signature tells you how many beats per measure? Yeah, most people have, okay? And I'm not saying that, I'm going to throw a hymn book at you, all right? But a lot of people have been poorly taught, and then that affects our music leading later on because they're saying the top number tells you how many beats per measure. All right, now, it is a mathematical equation telling you about the measure. In that measure, the bottom number will tell you what kind of note gets one count. Then the top number does not tell you how many beats, it tells you how many of those one notes fill the measure. So 4/4 means simply 1 quarter note gets one count, and there will be 4 quarter notes in a measure to make it a full measure. All right? So 4 quarter notes actually equals 1 whole note, right? So a whole note will fit into 4/4, a 4/4 measure. All right? Then if you go to the dots, well, let's not go to the dots. How many quarter notes how many half notes will be in a 4/4 measure? 2. Half, count. A half note gets 2 counts, right? So half, 2, half, 3. But see, that half note, the length of time of it is actually going for 2 of those lengths of time. Right? That's why it has to do with time. A beat only takes place at the beginning of those notes. That's the marking of the time, but that's not the value of the note. Right? So that mathematical equation is just telling you how many of those notes, type of notes, will be in the measure. Does that make sense? So if you have 3/4 time, there's going to be 3 quarter notes in that measure. All right? So if you had 3/2 time, what would that look like? All right, 3 minims, each getting 2. No, they're not each getting 2 counts. They're each getting 1 count. Although they're half notes and they're twice the length, but because we've changed the bottom number to 2, they get a count now. They just get 1 count. So I've got there, the bottom number sets the foundation of the meter. It tells you what kind of note is going to get 1 count. If it's a 4, then a quarter note will get 1 count. If it's a 2, then a half note will get 1 count. If it's an 8, then an eighth note will get 1 count. If it is a 1, and I don't know why I got a line there, then a whole note would get 1 count. All right, and I've got there, the top number of a time sign does not tell you how many beats there are in the measure. It tells you how many of the notes indicated in the time sign, bottom number, that there are in the measure. So now we call those simple time. If the top number is, this is very important, if the top number is 2, 3, or 4, you are in simple time. Okay, so now I'm going to quit throwing the curveball just for a moment. All right? In simple time, 2, 3, and 4 also tell you how many beats there are in a measure. So that's why most music teachers, when they're teaching juniors, will say, oh, it tells you how many beats are in the measure. Because in simple time, if the top number is 2, 3, and 4, it is also telling you how many, that's the way it works out. That's how many beats are going to be in the measure. Does that make sense? All right, so that's why I don't throw hymn books at you, because you've been taught properly at least about simple time. All right, so but all of these meters then are in simple time. The top numbers are 2, 3, and 4, and 2, 4 would look like what I've got there. 3, 4 will have 3 quarter notes. 4, 4 will have 4 quarter notes. 2, 2 will have 2 half notes. 3, 2 will have 3 half notes. 4, 2 will have 4 half notes. And then if it was eighth, 2 eighths would have 2 eighth notes. 3 eighths would have 3 eighth notes. And 4 eighths would have 4 eighth notes. All right? And there is music composed with those time meters. All of them would be in simple time. But you tell me this, if you go to even 2, 4, if you play a melody in 2, 4 time, and then that same melody, and I'm talking about pitches, is changed into a 2, 2 meter, would the melody still be the same? Yes, as far as pitches, but how would you probably perform it or sing it? Slower. All right? Maybe twice as slow. But that's why we change the bottom number is to signify the quickness or the slowness or the passing of time per each note. All right? And then if that same melody was done in 2/8, you would expect to be singing the same melody, but to be performing it faster. All right? So, and like I said, generally, our hymns are usually the bottom number will be a 4. And we're doing it in a pace of walking time. All right. So, those are simple counts. Now, let me press on. Meters in Western music are of 2 principal kinds, duple or triple, depending on whether the basic unit of pulse recurs in groups of 2 or 3. The recurrence of groups of 4 pulses, as in 4/4, may be termed quadruple meter, but it is also a special case of duple meter. Okay, let me just simplify that. 2, 3, and 4, you're in simple meter, and it's called simple because each beat is divided into 2, all right, or 2 pulsations. So I was talking about feeling of rhythm. If I'm in 2/4, 1, 2, 1, 2. Under that is a pulse. Yum, bum, 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 pulse, 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 pulse. 1 pulse, 2 pulse, 3 pulse. Now, the beat really is a pulse. All right, but because beats are emphasized, and we need to have something to call those other underlining pulsations, we'll call those pulsations. They're all pulsations, but the main ones, the beat, are what you are conducting in your beat pattern. So I'm in simple time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But under that is going to be pulsations, and you will often, in our music that has a 4 at the bottom, there will also be a use of eighth notes. Dun 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 dun. See, those pulses are still going. But our beat patterns, we are showing the beat. So in simple time, do you get that concept? In simple time, the beat is divided into 2 pulsations. The pulsation is not as strong as the beat, but it's there. And it's divided into 2. So we call it simple because it's only divided into 2. All right. Any questions about simple time? All right. I went about doing it that way, teaching you that way as far as the beat pattern, because now we're going to look at compound time. All right, and I know that most people have been taught the top number tells you how many beats. All right, but that's not so when you move to compound time. All right, in compound time, the top number will be 6, 9, or 12. And so, if you look at page 15, by the way, we normally count the pulse, not using the word pulse, but we'll just use and. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I've got pulse here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Those are the pulses. The ands are the pulses. All right. You'll notice it's divided into. Every note can have depending on the meter, in simple time has a division. So even the eighth, 1, I would probably 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and with the eighth down there, okay? Everybody get the concept, though, about that bottom number indicates the speed or the tempo to a certain degree. All right. Now, in compound time, when the top number of the time signature is 6, 9, or 12, then the piece is said to be in compound time. All of these meters, you need to change that. Are in simple time. I'll need to change that too. All of the meters there are in compound time. I'm sorry. On page 16, if you got a pen, change that word simple to compound. I just caught that. All right. By the way, I've used kind of shading there as you go to the right. Those kind of meters are less and less used. The ones in the darker print, 6, 8, 9, 8, 12, 8, are more common. All right. So in compound time, that's if the numbers are 6, 9, and 12. So 6, 8 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 9 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. All right, now, in simple time, the beats are, this is actually the important part here, okay? In simple time, the beats are divided into 2 pulsations, but in compound time, the pulsations are grouped in 3 to make a beat. So in 6/8 time, you've got 6 pulsations, but you will actually only feel 2 beats. Because instead of the pulsations being grouped in 2, like in simple time, 1 and 2 and 3 and, or it would sound like this if it was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If that was simple time. But we don't. We group them in 3s. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The beats are on 1 and 4 rather on 1, 3, and 5. All right? Now, you don't have to get up there and mathematically think of that. That's just the way music works in compound time, okay? Because our beats are either divided into 2 when we feel it, generally. All right, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or in compound time, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm in 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, my beat pattern is beating out 2 beats. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. But 6/8, there's 6 pulsations there, and they're grouped in 3. So if there's 6 pulsations and they're grouped in 3, how many beats do I have in 6/8? 2. So instead of 1 and 2 and, I'm feeling 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that has to do with the importance of the beat pattern, because what is the beat pattern showing? What's the beat pattern showing? The beat. So that's why it's called a beat pattern. So in compound time, the top number does not tell you how many beats there are. It tells you how many pulses are in the measure. And then you group those pulsations into groups of 3 to tell you how many beats are in the measure, and then that is the beat pattern you use. Make sense? Okay, let's stand. And let's see if we can get our patterns down. We'll start, no, I need to start with a duple, because that's the simplest. All right, so we'll just go one-handed, if you're right-handed. All right, remember, around the barrel, stand up straight, palm down. All right, and just very simply, a duple pattern, well, let me start with, stay there. The most important, or the one that you really need to know, is the downbeat. That is the first note after your bar line. That's a gimme, all right? If you get lost, just wait for that next downbeat, and guess what direction the downbeat is going to be in, all right? Down. That is your strongest gesture in your rhythm, all right? It should be. Down. There's something about that gesture and the movement of it that has a strength about it. All right? If I had my downbeat as doing this, it actually loses the emphasis of what a downbeat feels like, all right? And so it's down. So with that, I've already talked about around the barrel, all right? Hand, palm down. Down is the direction of vertically straight down, all right? And so 1. So just do that with me for now. 1, 1, 1, 1. There is music written in 1-1 time or 1-4 time. Wouldn't be 1-4, it'd probably be 1-1, okay? Which would be 1, 1, 1. But you're not going to get any of that in congregational singing, so don't worry about it, all right? Occasionally, you might get a 1-4 like stuck into it, all right? 1, all right? So, although that is the strongest gesture, that is the downbeat, duple is what we're going to be working on. And so, what you're doing is the downbeat and then swing out. And then up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 1, 2. Go ahead and mirror it with your other hand if you want. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you're in simple time, so under that should be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Now, with the hand down, you can stop for a moment. I'll go ahead and teach you something. The point of the beat is called the ictus. All right? And it's at that place where the congregation and you should be feeling the beat or pointing out the beat where it is. So, it is allowable and it is suggested that you feel the ictus or you show the ictus at the tip of your fingers. All right? You're not going 1, 2, 1, 2. And it does have a little bit of a bounce or a spring. And if you think of it as it's at the tip of the fingers, what happens or should happen is as the hand goes down, the wrist changes direction a little bit before the beat. I'm doing this real slow motion. 1, 1. And the ictus is actually in those fingertips. All right? So there's a little bit of a bounce or a spring there. It's the change of direction. I'm not saying that you go, all right? It should be a natural thing in that this is flexible enough but firm enough that you're not, bouncing all around the place. Ha ha, sweetie. But that there still is a point of rebound or the ictus, a point of contact or feeling of it. So that's the ictus, and it's actually done at the fingertip. So I don't think of it consciously. I just keep my wrist loose enough, but firm enough, where it just naturally happens. I'm not up here consciously thinking ictus, ictus, ictus. But 1, 2, 1, 2. And it should be there for both beats. So let's do it. Think of the ictus. 1, 2, 1, 2. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you're keeping that hand flat like you should be, that'll make it easier to show the ictus. If you're doing this, where's the ictus? Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So it should be at the tip of the fingers this way. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's duple. Everybody got it? Okay, here we go. Triple is a 3-beat pattern. Your downbeat, thankfully, is always the same thing because that's the most important one. That's the one that's easily recognized. So, I'll do it. 1, 2, 3. And forgive me for teaching it that way because it really ought to be 1, bounce, 2, bounce, 3, up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mirror me. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'll do it with left-handed so you guys can mirror me with your right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. That was better. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Forget the circle for a moment. 1, 2, up. 1, 2, up. 1, 2, up. 1, 2, up. Now, what I'm getting at is, brother, I've forgotten your name. John? Yeah. He was doing something like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, that may be a habit. Nothing like, I'm not going to throw a hymn book at you for that one. But as far as the simplicity, and it will affect later on an upbeat or preparation beat. So that what I'm trying to do is just lay a foundation here as to the simplicity or the simpleness of each pattern, because it leads on to other things. And so it should be your third beat. 1. Sorry, let's do the second. 1, 2 is out, and your ictus is on its way. It still is there. All right, it's still going to be a finger, but because that pulsation or that beat is not as strong as your first beat, then it's not going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. All right, so we pass through it. 1, 2, up. 1, 3 is the same thing, and that's why I create in that. Where is that third beat in this? It still needs to be a downward. So 1, 2, 3. All right, and so 1, 2. It's still there. And what I'm getting at is in those beats, the ictus or the beat is still there in a 3 beat. 1, 2, and so the reason we would not do those sort of things is because we do sing and we do know that it's the downbeat that is the strongness. So we tend to, I'll do it sometimes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I might, if they're holding out, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right. So I might forget that third beat. But I'm just telling you that ictus is still there in the 3-beat pattern, and that's where it is. It's on that. It's still a downward motion. It's just not a direct down. All right. Do not. No, I'll wait. Let's go to the 4. All right. Quadruple pattern is palm is down, and I'm with you. All right, so it's 1, the same 1, but instead of going out, you've got to add an extra beat in, and I'll explain in a minute. 1, 2 across. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, answer this for me. Everybody got that down? What's similar about the 3-4 and the 4-4? What's some similarities in it?
You have an upbeat and a downbeat.
You have an upbeat and a downbeat.
Cross beats.
No, I wouldn't say that. But of the 4 beats, how many of them are the same? At least 3 of them are going in the general same direction. All right, in 4, you're changing the direction because you got to add that extra beat. But my point is this: the 3 and the 4 is the same as the 2 and the 3, and then downbeat. Why? Because the downbeat is the most important one. The one before the downbeat, which we call a preparation, is still outside in, which can be seen, and that's preparing for the downbeat. So the reason we don't go 1, 2, 3, 4 is because that beat before the downbeat is in front of the body and you're not going to see it as well. So that'll be another thing if I see you guys later on at a church and you're going the opposite direction in a 4-point, I will throw a hymn book at you. All right. So don't do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't do this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. That preparation, even with the 2, is always outside. Sorry, the beat before the downbeat is always going out. 1, 2. 1, 2. Or sorry, that beat before the downbeat is coming from the outside up. So 1 up and in and up. 1 in and up. 1 in and up. 1, 2 out in and up. So the 3 and 3, 4 is always from the outside, and the 4 and 4, 4 is always from the outside. All right. So yeah, just that's very important as far as being seen. You can probably get by with messing up on the 2 maybe in 4, 4. 1, 2. But if you remember, at least send that 3 outside. 3, so that upbeat was coming up. Okay. So regardless of what meter you're in, the downbeat, make sure it's always down. It doesn't always go out. For example, in 4, it's going to go in. 1, 2. But that down is still directly down. 1, 2. In 2, it's going out. 1, 2. In 3, it's going to go out. 1, 2. All right, but really that's down, and then you move out in 3, 4. So let's just pretend for a moment you got that down. Take a seat. Let's look at 121. All right, I'm not going to get the accompanist to play yet. I want to talk through some things. All right. What's the time signature telling you? Simple quadruple. Yep. What kind of note gets 1 count? Quarter. How many of those quarter notes will fill up a measure? What kind of note gets 1 beat? Quarter note. How many beats are going to be in each measure? 4. Are we in simple or compound time? Okay, simple. All right. Like a river glorious, what beat of the measure does the song start on? Downbeat? Huh? Is that what you said? Yeah. The first one. All right, the first beat of the measure. Beat 1. Okay, so like a river, does that fill up a whole measure? And each syllable of that song gets how many counts or beats? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. When you get to glorious, how many counts are in that one? Still 4 counts, right? So each note is going to get, or each syllable is going to get how many counts? 2. And how many beats? There'll be 4 beats, but I mean, as far as each syllable, glorious is going to get how many beats? It'll be 2. 2 beats will pass through that, okay? And so, or you'll be conducting 2 beats through there. All right, now, with congregational song leading, I've already illustrated this. Let's just go ahead. Are you going to play with us? Like a River Glorious? I'm going to suppose that these two have already worked it out, but that's not really going to happen. So we'll let the pianist give our introduction. All right? Okay, what do you think about the tempo? Fine. What about the key that it's in? You don't know. Probably don't care. No, that's not something you have to worry about if he's playing in the key that it's written in. Now let's just have a little bit of fun here. Turn that thing up about 5 or 6 key steps. Up.
I told you.
I know you can't do it with that. You're right. Can you do that? All right. We'll let the organist. What key is it in? It's in F. Try F A. Try playing it in A or B flat or something. Yeah. Okay. If you try getting them to sing that, you're going to have a lot of like a river going. So you are trusting your pianist and everybody to play in the key that it's written in, okay? But more importantly, what did they do with their introduction? Go ahead, give me an introduction again. I'm talking about for you. They've set the key that we're singing, but what else? The tempo. Okay, so they have set the tempo. Some churches will do this, and will go ahead and take your introduction and go straight into singing. And what I'm doing, and you may do this in your church, like a river glory. Now, in that case, I join them in the tempo that they already set. I have no problem with that. I kind of like doing that in that it prepares the congregation and if they can go in. But I still need to be leading them. All right? So I'm going to take their tempo. I'm not going to have a pause. I'm going to join them in that tempo, but watch what I still do. Downbeat is going to be first, but I'm starting out here. 2, 3. Like a river. I put in that what's that called? Upbeat, or the preparation. It's called a preparation. I'm preparing them for starting to sing. So in your preparation beat or gesture, it will always be the gesture of the beat before the first time you sing or the first beat that you sing on. So my gesture in Like a River Glorious, my preparation gesture will be what in my pattern? Which beat? It'll be the fourth one, or the upbeat. All right? That is very important. So what I will do, if I'm going to just simply join them, I still have a responsibility to tell the congregation when to start to sing or when that first one's going on. So I have to use my music ability and my sense of counting and rhythm to know where they are in the introduction. So inside I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like all right. But I need to be looking at my music and working out what is the upbeat or what is the preparation. It's going to be the 4. Now I don't do it now as much because I'm know what I'm doing. But I would suggest if you are leading music, go ahead and mark up your hymn book and use that one all the time. And so what I will do with my hymn book is above the key time signature, I will draw a vertical line as if it's a bar line and then put a 4 here. As in, that is going to be the first gesture I lead. and then the downbeat, and I just pick up the rest of it. So I go ahead and work out, look at my time signature, and then know what the gesture or the beat is that my preparation beat will be. All right? Now, I'll just go ahead and talk about this, okay? In your patterns, what is that called? That point of the beat? The ictus. All right? All right, then out of the ictus, or out of that beat, you have the rebound. Boom. Every beat you conduct also has a rebound. It's called the rebound. All right? And so you have the rebound, and the rebound also becomes the preparation for the next beat. So your preparation is that part of the gesture that is going to prepare them for the next beat. All right? And it everyone. So one rebound, one, and the rebound is my preparation for the second beat. Okay, so there are some hymns that begin like Amazing Grace. Amazing is in 3/4. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the 3 is my pickup beat, but what's going to be my preparation? 2. So, and you could call I like calling it helps me if I call the preparation breath also. So, and I will use that as a gesture sometimes, especially if I'm with a choir. All right, so that becomes part of my preparation and part of the gesture. Okay, so with all of those, your preparation will be the beat or the gesture of the beat before the first one. Does that make sense? So if it's an upbeat, the third, your preparation is actually going to be the second beat. All right? There are some hymns in our hymn books, boom for all the saints. Is that in there? Is that in your hymn book? No. Okay. Do you know that one? No. It goes, for all. They actually, in the music, have that first beat down, but nobody's singing. So it's one of those, boom for all the saints. Tum, 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 tum. So sometimes when that's requested, I'm up there thinking, oh boy, I hope we're all on the same page here, because the preparation for the congregation is going to be the down. Boom for all the, but the preparation for the ones playing is going to be the fourth. Boom for all. So I got to do two preparations, one for them and one for them. All right. So, but my point is, a preparation can also be the first if they're going to start on the second. Dun, 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 dun. All right. I just did something there. I think I'll teach you eventually. But so same with. I don't want to mix things up. If it's on the third. 3, 4, 1. I'm just making these melodies up now. Okay. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my preparation would be the second. So 3, 4. Now that's kind of a difficult one because your preparation, you're putting it in a place that's moving in front of your body. So I might even go something like an up. 3, 4, 3, 4. But there needs to be some sort of a preparation. You're not going to find a lot beginning on that third beat of a 4 anyway, okay? Okay. Any questions so far? All right. But I want to get you guys practicing this. Let's go ahead. Come on up here. We'll talk through this. Let's do Like a River Glorious. We'll pretend you've got a pulpit here. All right, generally when you're leading singing, the music director or the song leader, you'll announce what the hymn is. All right, make sure you do that clearly. All right, we've gotten to a place where we rely on screens and lyrics and stuff up like that. I still have people in my congregation, we do both. We put the lyrics up, but I have people in our congregation that love their hymn book. And by the way, one of the things that is hurting us with all this stuff on the screen and not using hymn books is we're not challenging our young people to learn how to read music. And so they don't know where the melody line is. They don't know how to find the melody line. They don't know how to count it out. And it's just all easily done for them. And I think that's hurting us in the long run. At the same time, I'm not going to, rebuke anybody that's using a screen. We do both at our church, and we've got reasons for that, all right? But I still think we need to be announcing what we're going to sing. And so that's part of the song leading thing. So you can do it your way. I'll show you what I would do. I'd say, okay, for our first hymn, make sure you're looking at people. We're going to sing Like a River Glorious, hymn number 121. Hymn number 121. Let's stand as we sing. Now you can work it out, and you should work it out as to when are the accompanists going to start playing the thing. All right? We're at a place where they know I've done what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to instruct them to start playing. All right? Hopefully they're going to start in the same key. Hopefully that we've already worked it out before who's going to do what. So we'll just pretend all that's worked out, all right? And I'm probably going to stop and critique along the way, okay? So go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to sing number 121, Like a River Glorious. Number 121.
You can look at them to tell them to get started. Okay, when did he start his preparation? When he started a little early? He started the movement, the gesture a little early. Did he do it in tempo? No. So that preparation also needs to be in tempo. And the best thing to do, brother, is instead of, oh, okay, here it comes, go ahead and get the arms out to where they're going to be. Because what you are also doing is you're inviting them to be ready to sing. So, and that's a gesture. So go ahead, give me the introduction again. Get that arm out there. Like a river glorious is God's perfect peace, over all victorious in its bright increase. Perfect yet it floweth, dimmer or... Go to two hands for me. Perfect yet it gloweth, deeper all the way. Stayed upon Jehovah, hearts are fully blessed, finding as he promised, perfect peace and rest. All right, thanks. Be seated. Pretty good. There's one thing, I'll talk to you about it now. All right, but you fixed it as you went along. You were on 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And at the end you were doing 1, 2, which was the way you should be doing it. 1, pass through that second. Don't make the second beat as strong as the first. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? So 1, 2. So he got it right at the end. 1, pass through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Good. You're going to have a go? Don't put your hands in your pockets. That's right, good. Down, in, out, up is God's perfect. Down, in, out, up. Like da tum 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 tum. 2. Now, all right, let me stop him real quick. Here's what you're doing. You're going 1. And when you're 1, you're already over where the 2 should be. So you haven't left yourself any room for the 2. What am I going to do with my 2 now? Woo, let's put it back out here. So the 2 has to be here. So give yourself room. 1. And with the 2-beat pattern, not so much the 3, with the 4-beat pattern, because you're moving in, you've got to leave yourself some room for that second beat. All right? So it's okay, instead of going 1, you're already 1, bounce it. 1, then move to the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So it's okay, Jonah, is that right? Yeah. With that 1, just bounce it. 1, and think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that for a moment. Okay, just divide it up and think of each one. 1, no, just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try this. 1, in, out, up. 1, in, out, up. 1, in, out, up. All right, got it? We're going to go through it again. Your introduction was pretty good. Make sure it's in rhythm though. 2, 3. 1, in, out, up. 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 1, in, out. Okay, I'm going to stop you for this. All right. With the 4-beat, all right, we call this the ictus. We call this in. All right, but really the downbeat does not take place right in front of the body. So if you'll move it out here, that will give you room for your 2. What you were doing was you were putting your 1 right here. 1, and so you're not giving yourself any. So go ahead and get that elbow out, and you did this a while ago too, and then you changed. But be careful of, you do not lead with your elbow. That's not the leader. All right? So 1, 2, 3. All right, you're not doing it with your elbow. You only did that once. But if you'll go ahead and keep that 1 out here. All right, I'm going to put my hand here. That's going to be your 1. All right, give me the introduction. No, not yet. You're going to give them the prep. Smile at them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, in, out, up. 1. Hit my hand. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Up, down, 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 2, 3. Up. All right. Well, let's just rest. What you're wanting to do is fling that 4 up early. So it's going to be one big one. You want to try it? You sure? Okay, I'm going to wait and get you on duple. Want to try it? Please? Are you leading singing in church yet?
Yep. Let's sing 121, Like a River Glorious.
Palm down. Perfect, yet it floweth, fuller every day. Perfect, yet. Keep going. I want you to try to change your 4th. Get the circle out of the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get the circle out of it. Straight out on 3. 3, 4, 1. Keep it low, then up. 1, 2. Good. Promise perfect. All right. You understand? I'm not going to make a big deal about that fourth one because the fourth beat is not as important. Just as long as you get that hand up there for the first. All right. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not the one buying the pizza. Okay. I want to move on so we can get other patterns in here, and then let's go to. Yeah, is there one nearby that's got a pickup on 118? Near to the heart of God. Let's talk through it. What kind of note gets one count? What kind of note is going to get one beat? Same kind of note, quarter, all right. How many counts per measure? How many beats per measure? Are we in compound or simple time?
Simple.
All right, what's the first count or beat in a beat pattern of the first note sung? The 4, all right? So there is on the fourth beat of a measure. So that is going to be the first place of singing. So what's going to be your preparation gesture? The third beat, which would be out. Okay? So that's your gesture. Where should you be ready for it? At the inside. So it's going to go. So 3, there, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. So although you're beating it and showing it, you're doing a gesture from it. You're not singing it, of course. But it would be basically you start from the inside as if it's the end of 2. You're going to move out for your preparation. There is, all right, there is. So be ready to do your gesture the second beat. All right. Come on up, brother. We'll do the same thing and let the pianist and then the organist set the tempo. You can announce it though.
I've got to remember the preparation beat. I've lost that.
Second.
You know it too, don't you?
You're in a 4-beat pattern? Yep.
Okay, 118, is it? Yeah. Yeah, we're going to sing hymn number 118, Near to the Heart of God. Let's all stand.
Okie doke. There. All right, missed it.
I missed it.
Missed it.
Yeah.
All right.
I
And
haven't
now
done it for
let's
years.
just pretend for a moment that we're not going to take it from the pianist. We're going to leave it all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll do is this. This is what you guys got the introduction, or has he got the introduction? And I'm going to start him. I still have to start him with that beat. So I'm doing this now, and then we'll let you do it. So introduction. Now this makes the congregation look at me. Sadly. See, I'm starting it. There is. Did you see what I did? So,
As long as I'm watching him, it's good.
huh?
As long as I'm watching him,
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah. So, but that's one of those things. Don't pull that on your pianist and things before, like, well, I'll show you. I'm the one that's in charge here. You guys better watch me. All right. But if that's what you do normally and they know that, let's just pretend they do. I start it and I'm going to wait for that silence or that pause, then I'll start it. I'll do that now. Introduction. There is a place of quiet. Got that? Now,
You waited for a pause.
I just put a little bit of a pause in it, okay? Now, don't do something like, go ahead and,
I'm not going to do too bad.
yeah. Don't do something like this. There. You do have to be a little musically inclined in that, he set the tempo here. There's just a slight pause, but we got to move on and get into this. So, yeah, you want to do it with a slight pause? Basically, what I'm doing is this. Let's get him comfortable with whatever he's doing. You go ahead and do whatever you're
I
doing.
can't remember it because it's so long since I've used that preparation.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. No. Just go ahead and let them get to the end of that musical phrase.
Yeah,
And what you did there was you actually skipped a beat.
I did.
So if you want, I'd be doing this. I'm ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
As soon as you hit Scott, it's 1, 2.
Well, you're counting. Yeah. No. Don't be thinking the lyrics. Think the numbers. 1, 2,
And where
3.
that start at the end of that bar.
Near to the heart of 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, well, that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one anyway, because you're not starting on the downbeat.
No, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've done that for years.
Very good. A place of quiet rest, near to the heart of God. A place near to the heart of God. Oh, Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God. Hold us who wait before Thee, near to the heart of God. Okay, thanks. That was a curveball on you because of that upbeat.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
So, the way you do that introduction, whether you pause for it or not,
Yep.
should be an indication of how you're going to do the breaks between your verses.
Yes. You understand what he's saying?
Yeah.
Now, that is also a problem if you don't do that, and then when you get to the end of your verse and you want to have a pause, and everybody needs a pause. Why? Because people got to breathe. Okay. And so I usually do even conduct at the end of a verse. Let's go ahead and do it there. So let's go with hold us. Hold us who wait before Thee, near to the heart of God. Da, da. All right, so I go ahead and cut off. For me, this is habitual. I know where I'm going to go from here. But yeah, there should be a little bit of a pause. Yeah. All right, take a seat. Okay, look at 112.
That must be the only one I know of that has that many.
Yeah. 112. You know this one? Be still, my soul. All right, this will be a one where your preparation beat is the first or the downbeat. Because what count does it actually start on singing? 2. So your first measure of singing is 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we know it's simple time, quadruple pattern, but it's starting on the second beat. Therefore, your preparation beat will be a downbeat. All right, this is one where I could actually, if I know the key, I can conduct this if I know the key, or all they got to do is hit a chord and we could start. So here's my chord. Boom. Be still my soul. Now I wouldn't do that normally. All right. But it would be fun.
That's how I do it for my congregation.
For your congregation? Be still. All right. So if he's conducting from the piano, boom. All right. So go ahead and give us an introduction. And see, my preparation will actually start up top here. No, he put a little dinky in there. All right, yeah, yeah. I'm going to do. I'll start this. Yeah. Be still, my soul. Da, 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 da. All right, go ahead and stand with me, and you do it now. We'll take a little bit of pause there. All right, but your hands will be up for this one. One. Be still, my soul. Da, 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 da. Okay, good. Now, I won't mention any names, but somebody didn't start right on this, but he immediately got back on with the downbeat. So whatever you do in there, make sure you get to that downbeat as soon as you can. And go ahead and be seated. So, boom, be still. Is there any in here in duple? Because I need to move on to compound time, but...
So you want a 6/8 for me?
No, duple, 2-4 or 2...
Found a 2-2.
Number 5,
315 is in 2-4.
315. What's number 5?
Number 5 is this one.
That's 2-2. Okay, let's look at number 5. We'll do the math. What kind of note gets one count? Half note. What kind of note gets one beat? Half note. How many beats will there be in a measure? So how many... we've already got that. If it's in simple time, you're using simple what? What pattern? Duple. You're still using duple, all right? I'll go ahead and ask it this way. How many pulsations would there be per measure? No, 4. All right, there's 2 beats. And remember, the beats are divided into 2 in simple time. So there's 4 pulsations. So what kind of note will get one pulse? A quarter note. There'll be 4 quarter notes in a 2-2 measure. All right? And then, so if we look at that, about what speed will we be singing this at? Yeah, like twice as slow as walking pace or slower than walking pace. All right? And an easy way to do that, and although, I don't do this all the time, I just know when I see that 2 at the bottom, I know this is going to be slower. But if you'll think through what that quarter note is at walking pace, so when I survey the wondrous cross, there would be 2 pulsations or 2 steps in the half note. When I survey, you see that? But I'm not conducting I'm conducting in 2. When I survey and what is this Wesley that wrote it? Watts, yeah, sorry. Watts is incredible. He's probably the father of English hymnody. But this is as part of the music he's adding into the solemnness of the cross, the scene of the cross, okay? So what beat is going to be the first one we beat? We're going to use duple time. 1, so what's going to be my preparation? 2, right? Which is really easy. Again, it's an upbeat from the outside in. All right, now normally myself, if I go into a simple pattern, a duple, triple, or whatever, and that bottom that bottom number is a 2, I'm supposed to be slowing it down, and so I will usually, a way you could slow it down but still remain is just broaden your pattern. Make more distance that you have to go through. All right? Don't do something like this though. 1, 2. Don't speed it up. Just always keep it the steady, same speed. All right, so let's go ahead and stand. I'll let you do it. And let's do it first by picking up on the tempo that Brother Neville sets. Let's go ahead and stand. Hymn number 5, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. No cheekiness, yeah. So I'm going to start from the outside. Just pick up with his tempo. I serve. I don't think I got that right. Let's do it again. I don't think I got that right. Go ahead, do it again. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. When I survey the wondrous cross on which the out, in, all the vain things that charm me. Okay, give me a 3-4. Give me a 3-4 hymn.
$110.
110. Go over to 108. You may not know this one, Son of My Soul. Nah. No, I don't want to sing that. Go back to 110.
We're looking for a 3/4 hour pickup.
Yeah,
There's not many off there.
yeah, I know.
I think that Son of the Soul one is the only one.
Let's just stick with 110.
157.
Huh? What does it?
157. Come down, Mighty King.
Yeah, 157. That's a good one. Come thou home. 157. And this is just so, you have the opportunity to use the triple pattern. We'll do the same thing, Brother Nev, and you're just coming in later. A little bit of a pause. Okay, what's going to be your preparation is going to be the upbeat, 3. So put your hands outside, breathe. Come thou, all right, is that what it is? Come thou, Almighty King?
Yes.
Okay. Come thou, Almighty King, help us thy name to sing, help us to praise. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Palm down, down, and down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and take the pause. Days. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Keep going. We're going to take the pause afterwards and the cutoff. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1 off. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You got what I did there? So off. Now, my hands are still up. All right? And you don't want to go down there to pick up again because that's an extra gesture. All right? So if your hands are up there, go ahead and do your preparation from up there. It's just not going to be as long. Tum, 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 tum. Now, you may want to go tum, 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 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and then come up there, whatever you do. But make sure you practice it, all right? So, normally, I hold that last note, but I mean, that comes with practice, all right? But if I'm up there and with my cutoff, it's okay to do that preparation. Make sure you've at least kept it outside. You've ended outside rather than here because you don't have anywhere to go. So you always have to be thinking and practice, I've got to have somewhere to go for every gesture. So I wouldn't go tum, 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 off, then put my hand out here and then come up here because that's 2 gestures. All right, so while it's up there, I'll just do it from here. All right, have a seat. All right, we don't have a lot of time, but This is the part where I do a little bit of fussing. All right. If the top number is 6, 9, or 12, and what's happened is that in our Bible colleges and seminaries, rightfully so, okay, we're hoping to teach church planters how to do their music good enough, although they are not musicians. And so we teach them the easy way of doing it. And I personally think that's been a little detrimental. And then there's also the aspect of we don't teach them what I taught you about simple and compound time. And that the time signature just means how many beats. It doesn't mean how many beats. It means, all right, so this is hymn book throwing material here, okay? When we are in compound time, 6, 9, or 12, you divide by 3 to tell you how many beats are in the pattern. So if it's 6, 8, that's 6 pulsations, you divide the top number. But what you're really doing is you're grouping 3. All right? And so to make the beats. So there are 6 pulsations or 6 counts. You divide 6 by 3, that comes up with 2. So how many beats do you have? 2 beats. All right? In 9/8, you have 3 beats. And in 12/8, you have 4 beats. Now, the pattern for conducting compound time, 6, 9, or 12, is actually you're conducting the pulsations or the notes or the counts. All right? So, a 6/8 pattern is actually 1, 2, 3. And notice how the 2 and 3 is not as strong as the 1 downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm kind of going to write now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So if I'm up there as a song leader, if I'm going to do it correctly in sticking to the meter signature, the time signature, and do 6, I would do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. What song is that? Dum dum. I don't even think that is 6/8. That's 3. That's a 3 or 4. Yeah. Okay.
Trusting is one I've got.
Huh?
6/4 is simply trusting. Simply.
I don't want to do 6/4 yet. Oh no, is it? All right, is it 6/4?
6.
All right, play it for me. Yeah, see, I still wouldn't. That in my mind would have to be slower if it's a 4.
Yeah, but it's still.
All right,
6 though.
but even then, 1, 2, 3, 4. What is it? Is that it? Simply trusting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, even if you go to a 6/8, we'll stick with this one for now, okay? But the thing that I will throw a hymn book at you about is a lot of times we're being taught, or we come to the quick conclusion that, oh, I'll just do 2 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, you're dividing it by actually 2 and getting 3, and you're using the 3-beat pattern. Or use the 3-beat pattern for all of them. That would. All right, how many of you have done that before? I think we've already talked about this. Okay. And the reason I want to throw a hymn book at you is this, is that remember, this is a 3-beat pattern. And so in 6/8 time, there's really only 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you use the duple in 6 because you're grouping it into 3s. You're not conducting the 3s because they're not beats. You're conducting where the beats are. The ictus is where the beats are, which is on the 1 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Now, it is the easy thing to do 2 groups of triple. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is the easy way to do it, okay? But the truth of the matter is this. You're beating your congregation to death. Beat, 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 beat. And the composer of the music and the hymn writer does not want you to beat the congregation to death. What they want you to feel is the lilt, the easiness of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that movement. And that was a popular usage of that meter. And a meter, by the way, has to do with lyrics, words, and poetry has a meter, you know. And so what they're trying to do is emphasize the easiness, the lilt. And much of the music of that era with 6/8 time is actually your... We'll go ahead with your question about the dot. If I'm in 6/8 time, 3 counts, 3 eighth notes would be what with quarter notes? 1 quarter note plus a dot. So it'd be quarter with a dot, quarter with a dot, quarter with a dot, quarter with a dot. Got it? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, eighth, 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 eighth. All right. So, but in that time period, a lot of the music was actually a quarter note followed by an eighth note, which would make 1 count, because they wanted the feeling of yump, bum, bump, bum, bump, bum, bump. And it was a rhythmic pattern where that eighth note is throwing the emphasis back on the beat. 1, beat, beat. That's syncopation, and it's wonderful. All right. Dum, 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 dum. All right. So there's your 1, 2. So please don't beat out in 6/8 time. Don't do 3-beat patterns. In 9/8, you know, that means there's three 3-beat patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Imagine doing that. There's some hymns in there that are 12/8. What's Life Now is Sweet? Life now is sweet and my joy is complete. Does that go to 12/8?
Yes, that's 12/8.
Let's see. Yeah, I found a friend. What is it? 247.
Yeah, of course, it's 6/8 and it's 12/8.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See where I found a friend. All right. Found a friend. That's beat, beat, beat. But if you're doing this in 3, using the triple pattern, here's what you're doing. I found a beat, 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 beat. You're beating them to death. Beat, 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 beat. You're beating yourself to death. Dun, 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 dun. And what he wants is to emphasize, I found a friend. All right, now, this would be in 12, it would be in 4. I found a friend. See how much that allows me to broaden the singing and the text? by doing it in quadruple rather than 4 triple. I found a friend who's all right. Where I have the opportunity, if I use the correct beat patterns, there's 4 beats there, where I can keep everybody together and they're not being, they're feeling, I found a friend who is, and let the accompanists over there, let them do the chugging. Dum bum 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 bum. Okay, let's go ahead and stand and do this with the quadruple pattern. That's what it should be.
Now, as a pianist, I wouldn't play the last 4 bars as an introduction because it's
Okay, yeah.
timing and stuff, right?
Right, well, yeah, right.
Yeah, so
Well,
I tend to do the first 4 bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is he's going to do an introduction where it's it's in the 4 beat pattern. Okay, well, I just saw another problem. Your pickup is the 12th pulse. Now, what do you do with that? Okay, what I normally do is I do not do the 3rd beat because you're coming in on the tail end of the 4th. So I let the congregation pick up the tempo by the accompaniment, and my preparation is actually still going to be the 4th beat. And you're going to come in right at the end. I found, and see what I did? I breathed there. I found, all right, and so because they're just getting on the end. Okay, do that again. Hands out, you'll do the 4th. I found a friend who is all to me. His love is ever true. I love to tell how He lifted me and what His grace can do. You're going to change to 6/8. Double. Saved by His power divine to new life sublime. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved. Off. Now, go ahead and be seated. I'm going to get you to stand up in a moment anyway. Okay. Now, how many of you have been in churches where they slow that down? Life now is sweet. How many of you have pastors that if you don't slow them down, they're going to preach a 3-point sermon right after they do it? All right. This is kind of a funny story. I direct that at tempo, and then when I get to the last stanza, I'll usually say, okay, now let's take those slower pauses that we like to do. Watch me. Knowing that I'm going to do that, though, the congregations that do take the pauses aren't ready for me to just keep moving through. And I was at a church one time as a guest conductor or conducting, and I did that. I was just thinking, well, I'll take those slowdowns on the last ones. We'll just keep singing through. So I'm looking at the pianist and I'm saying, watch me. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved. Caught some of the people off guard, all right? But I did that, and when I was saved, the pastor yells out, hey, where's those pauses? And I wanted to say, who's in charge here? And then I thought, yeah, he's in charge. I better not say that. And so I like moving through that, but if I'm going to change that, you probably ought to announce that too. We're going to keep moving through here if you're in a church that you don't. All right. Now, how to conduct then, if you are going to take those pauses, there would be some of you that would go ahead and change to the triple pattern, because it's going to be slower, all right? So, life now is sweet and my joy is come. All right, that may be what you do. And I still say that's not the correct thing to do. All right, so what I do is I go ahead and revert to a 6/8 pattern. I'll say, watch me when we get there. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved. Go get a Coca-Cola, have a drink. Saved. Every gesture means something. Wait for a minute. Go right. Saved. So even with those saved, you're still giving the breath. Saved. If I want to move through it, saved, 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 off. All right? So again, that would be something you need to practice on. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I do. All right? Let's take it as if we're on the first chorus, going at tempo all the way through and then going into the second. You guys can stand and conduct with me if you want. All right, saved. Here we go. Saved by His power divine, saved to new life sublime. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved, saved, saved. Off. Dum 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 dum. So each day, pretend I've said, watch me. Da da da, strong on His mighty arm. I know He'll guide me. Oh, watch me. Way, saved by His power divine. So I'm slowing down to new life. Watch me. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved. 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 And again, if they make a mistake, do not call them down in front of everybody, but go ahead and chastise them later on. All right. Right. The time you quit looking. All right. But generally, with compound time, divide the top number by 3. And whatever that answer is, that is the beat pattern you use. All right? Not how many triple patterns you use, but the beat pattern. So if it's 6/8, you're going to do a duple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know it's kind of like I make a big deal out of it. And I know when I teach this, especially church planters, pastors sometimes act like, well, I'm just going to do it the easy way, and it works, all right? And I understand that, you're not going to offend me or whatever, but I do believe we need to understand that the composers and the hymn writers also had a ministry in doing what they did with the music they did, and they had a valid reason for that. And let's not negate their ministry to us in the composing of the music, the thinking of the music, and the writing of the music, and the lyrics. So, thank you. Are there any questions?
Would it be fair to say when you do your quadruple, 12 divided by 4, 12 by 3 gives you 4, you're effectively looking for 4 downbeats in the pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3.
Well, if I get technical, I would say I'm not looking for downbeats, I'm looking for beats, and that's what they're called. They're called beat patterns, because those patterns are showing you where the beat is. And so there are not 6 beats in 6/8 time. So don't go 1, 2, 3 beats. 3, 3, 3, 3. Those are beats. There's 2, 2, 3. And that does, where the beat is, it's there for a reason. The meter is what keeps it moving in the mood or whatever that the composer intended. And truthfully, just really, it's not that it just bugs me, but when somebody's up there going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, they're really beating a lot. they're moving a lot. It's agitated, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, as compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. All right. I want to sing and enjoy it and let it be uplifting, not da, 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 da. So, you may say, it's a bit, it's over top 10, a little bit technical. Okay. Anybody, any other questions? I enjoy this sort of stuff. It's not about me being right or wrong or anything like that. It really is about the knowledge that I know and have, and God's allowed me to have, and how can I encourage you in your ministry with it. And I pray that the Lord will bless you in your ministry here at this church, and guiding people and leading people to lift up their hearts in song and melodies before the Lord. Okay. Yeah, I think I covered just about everything that's in that booklet. Just go. If you got any questions, feel free to call me, and I hope to see you again. I will go ahead and mention we've started something that we call Sum Phonos, and Phonos means sound, and Sum means together, and it's, for lack of a better word, I struggle with it. It's a Christian musicians guild. And it's something that I did where I was trying to encourage people, pastors, anybody that's interested in the church music ministry, with the many facets of it, that we come together and we help each other out within the context of being fundamental independent Baptists and the things that we handle. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just pass on that information to Brother. What's your name again? I was thinking Tim. Brother Bunch, and he can give that to you if you want. But what we're hoping to do is maybe have these kind of seminars more often, and then also delve out into other questions about Christian music and how to handle it within the context of the church. All right, let's close with a word of prayer. And brother, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. Lloyd, Brother Lloyd, can you close in prayer for us?
Father, we just come to you now, and we do thank you for this time that Brother Tim has come up here and give to us. Lord, help us to listen and take in what he's said. It's a lot of information, but Lord, it will help us when we get to leading the singing. Lord, I thank you and praise you for this ministry. Bless him and those that have come up here today.